All right, everyone. Welcome back to RCH Builders. So we have finally got everything in the dry, as we refer to in the construction field. What that means is that we have house wrap on the outside walls, and we have a roof that is not shingled, but it has tar paper on it. So you still would put siding on, of course, on the outside walls, windows, doors in, and you would put shingles up top. But it's at least not leaking, which is actually raining outside. And the good thing is we look around, there is no water drops anywhere. In most cases, in the dry, we'll usually have the windows and the doors in, but not always. It always depends on the situation. Lately, pretty much ever since whole COVID thing hit and factories were shut down for a good long time, windows and doors have become a thing that gets ordered and does not get supplied for about, well, for a while it was up to even 8 months to a year. Now we're finally getting to where it is more like 8 weeks, which at least is better, but it is still way worse than what it used to be before COVID, when you could order those windows, and if they were a special order, you might have to wait maybe 4 or 5 weeks. But so the windows are not in, but we're still in the dry. Like I said, it's raining outside and it is dry here. So I have actually started the other day while they were doing the outside with the house wrap, finishing up the house wrap and all that, I started a little bit with the plumbing. So all I did, this is where the master bathroom vanity is. It's going to be a double sink. The problem is I do not know what vanity they're getting here. So this is a custom sized vanity on that wall, and I don't know if it's going to be a small sink that would probably be here and here, or if there'll be a little bit bigger sinks. You know, I don't know how much space is in between the sinks. They could be just some little bitty smaller sinks with a lot of counter space in between, or they might have a lot of counter space on the sides with the sinks closer. I don't know. I'm still waiting for the cabinet guy to get me actual drawings. I've got a proposal that he gave them, but it doesn't give me any specifics on the actual sizing of the vanity. Here I drilled a hole down right here. That's going to be where the water line is going to go down for the toilet. But these lines, they're not connected to anything right now. They're just kind of running through the wall. I'm waiting to know exactly where to make that setup. Also, with it being a custom vanity, see, some vanities need the pipes to come out lower, others need it to come out higher, depending on what kind of drawers or shelving they may have or cutouts. And again, also depending on the sink. So the part that I have done as far as the plumbing goes, which wasn't on camera, but we will get more of the other plumbing. I was actually trying to hurry up and get it in so that hopefully whenever he would come by, he could at least see this setup. But it's going to be a double, let's zoom this camera out a little bit. It's going to be a double shower. So there is a shower head there, and a valve here and over here. So if you look at it, you will notice that they are not centered with the shower head. In a double shower, that's very common to do. So, and actually in just a walk-in actual tiled shower, it is also common. So the way that I like to set this up with the shower valves, and he actually agreed, he liked it. I actually haven't found any homeowner who doesn't like it. But the way that I like to do it is, instead of this being centered of the shower head, which is way over here, I like to have it closer to the door. So there'll be a glass door that'll open right here, and you will be able to easily open this door before you ever get even, take off your clothes or whatever, get ready for take a shower. You can easily open this door up and turn on the water and let that start getting warm before you ever get in there. So you can easily do that, close it, and then go about getting ready to actually take a shower. And so that puts it off to the side a little bit closer here, but we don't want the shower head that close because then you're going to be knocking your elbow on the glass the whole time you're in the shower. You don't want to do that. So the shower head's over here. What I did is we went in the same dimension here as we did off the back wall for that one and put about 3 foot between them. That should give enough room. It doesn't get them too close to the walls or too close to each other, so that if there's 2 people in here trying to use the 2 shower heads, I mean, obviously that's the point of it, then you're not going to be knocking elbows with each other as much either, hopefully. But with that being the case, this one is offset this direction. I did the same thing, but that one is offset this direction, the same amount from the shower head as this one. So that way it's all symmetrical. When it is all done and put in the tile, it will all look uniform and look good while still having the access of being able to, like I say, turn that on without ever getting wet. And because, you know, if you want a nice, you're on a cold day and you want a nice warm shower, you don't want to have that nice little spurt of cold water to hit you while you're already cold enough. So that's with that. That's all we've done for the plumbing. I still have to do the rest of it. I simply tied it together and then sent it down below, and it's just hanging there right now. We still have to tie all the rest of it together, and I'm going to try to get all that on camera. But what we're about to do is actually work on our layout for receptacles. The code for the spacing of receptacles, which is not going to be in most older homes at all. It's not going to be met. But the code is, if the wall is over 2 feet, which this is obviously over 2 feet, it has to have a receptacle in it. If it's less than 2 foot, if it's just a little bitty wall section, like say between 2 double doors for like a closet, sometimes some closets you'll have a closet here and then another door over here for a closet, and there'll be like a 1 foot space in between them or 6 inch. You do not need to have a receptacle there. However, if that space is 2 foot or more, you do. Right here we have 6 foot 4 inches. What I will always do is I will try to get this outlet in this wall as close to center as possible. And what I always like to do is I like to mark the top of the box, not the center. And I'll go with 18 inches, because 18 inches gives you 16 inches to the center. The reason I don't do it in the center is because I've learned that when I have people working for me and I go around marking all the boxes and then let them put them in, they may not be able to, because there's no mark on the box showing the center. So you have to have a really good eye to be able to tell the dead center of that box. So they may be off like an 1/8 inch or a 1/16, which may not seem like much, but I can see that. It messes with me. I see that and I'm like, I'll tell them that outlet's off. And so to avoid to make it easier on them, I mark the top of the box, because then you can easily line up the top of the box with the mark. Makes it much simpler. The other code for most rooms, now there's different codes in different rooms, but in most of your areas, aside from kitchens, and actually the code still applies in kitchens except for where counters are, but aside from where countertops are, and aside from hallways, the code is that you are supposed to have an outlet for every 6 foot of wall space. Now what that means is, if you have an outlet, say here, you can run a cord 6 foot this way, mount a device, and then you can also reach one within 6 foot. So the way that it reads is, for every 6 foot of wall space there needs to be an outlet. But the way that determines in between outlets is 12 feet. Because 6 foot one direction and 6 foot the other. And every time that you create an opening in the wall, that resets. There's a doorway over here. That means there has to be one within 6 feet. Same thing here. There has to be one within 6 feet. Of course, that wall is under the 12-foot span, so I simply want to put it in the center. It just makes it look better. However, over here, windows do not count. There's still wall space underneath it. So over here, what I can do is I can measure 6 feet from the door here. And the other thing is that measures along the wall, not at an angle. So 6 feet does not measure from the opening. You're not supposed to go like this and be like, okay, well, 6 foot at an angle means right there. So I'm gonna put it on this stud. No, 6 foot means around the wall. So you need to actually bend your tape with the wall. Which means 6 feet is right here. So you don't want to go to the inside of it. You want to go to the outside of it. There's a couple other things that I like to do. When I'm laying out this room, this is going to be the master bedroom. And the wall, the dimension this direction is shorter than this way. So if you think of it, you want to think of your customer. Your customer is going to want to lay out their master bedroom in a certain way. If they laid their bed, just say they had a king size bed. If they laid their bed this way, it's going to make it difficult to get around the end of it and get into that closet. But if they lay it this direction, there's still plenty of room around this area here because it's longer this way. So with that, I want to designate that wall back there as the wall that the headboard and the bed's going to go against. And so then, as another convenience item for them, what I like to do is whenever I'm pricing the job from the get-go, I price it with the idea of putting what's called a quad outlet, which means 2 duplex receptacles side by side. It'll be a 2-gang box and you'll put 2 duplex receptacles in it. That's referred to as a quad because each receptacle that's a duplex is called a duplex because it has 2 outlets in that one device. And so a quad has 4, of course. It's 2 duplexes together, meaning quad. But I will put one on either side. Now it will be much closer than 12 feet. So, which is fine. You can be closer. You just don't want to be farther than that. So I will put a quad over here on this side of the bed, and I'll put another quad over here on this side of the bed. And I will try to get those as close to the same dimensions from the center of the room, which is going to be the center of the window, as possible. I don't worry about it being dead on because it's going to go, the idea is for a nightstand and being able to plug in all your little stuff like your chargers, your iPad, whatever it is, your lamp, whatever. And so it doesn't have to be dead on, but I like to be close. So what I'll do is I'll put one of those 2-gang boxes on this side of this stud right here, and I'll put the other one on this side, closer this way, of that stud right there. And those dimensions are going to come out pretty close to being the same. Fairly close, at least. And then from there, we need to measure our 12 foot. So that is here. Right here is 12 foot. Which means you could put an outlet right here. Because that's 12 feet. However, if you put that outlet there, you have to think also you need to be within 6 feet of this door, because we got a door here. So you want to see, is that going to meet this criteria as well? 6 foot here is actually 6 foot's right there. So we technically have an issue. 6 foot, 12 foot from that direction is right here. 6 foot from this way is here. We're about 6 inches off. Almost exactly. And the other thing that I do not like doing is I do not like to put in a receptacle under a window. Because if that window ever leaks, and I'm sure just about everybody knows windows leak, then it's coming down to the electrical that's underneath it. So what I would do in this case is I'm not going to do a quad because I'm not thinking the bed will be there. If they ever do decide that maybe they want to change it up and put the bed this direction, then they can. But if they do not want, then they will be able to do it by me doing this as well, but they will only have a single receptacle instead of a quad. Not a big deal in most cases. I mean, you can obviously deal with that. You can put something there for it. But with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one outlet here. Again, you can be closer than 12. We're going to only be like maybe 4 feet away. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put one here. And so it'll symmetrically be about the same distance. The other thing that's going to allow is this door swinging this direction, being a 3-foot door right here. You're going to be able to still use that outlet without worrying about hitting it with the door. And it's within 6 feet. And again, we're not under the window, and we're meeting all criteria there. Now we only have one wall left. This wall right here. And we have, again, 2 doors that we're dealing with. So what I will do in this case, again, is I'll just double check. We are under 6 foot is right here, which definitely means that it's within 6 feet of here. That's going to be back here. In this case, what I will do is I will simply figure out where the center is of this wall, and I will put it in the center, or at least as close to the center as possible. And what we'll find out is if the homeowner would like to have a TV receptacle in here. You never know. Lots of times people do, and if so, my guess would be is we'd need to put that here. We'll try and figure that out before we run the wire because it's much simpler to add it at that point. If it's not here, I would say it would be over here on this wall, the first one that we started on. It would probably end up going right about here. So we'll just see on that. But that's how we figure out where to put outlets in a room, receptacles. Of course, the other thing for the electrical is figuring out the switches. In this case, we've got this door here, which is going to have hinges here. It's going to open from this direction this way. So obviously, we're just going to put the switches right here. And one thing that I have done whenever I do these, again, the same thing. I want my switches at 4 foot to the center, so I'm going to put the mark at 50. So as to, again, use the top of the box makes it easier for my guys. This box, I'm going to have to look back on the drawings. I don't know if they wanted can lights up here or not, but this box, I will always at least put in a double so that you'll have a switch for the fan and a switch for the light, but it may be a triple for can lights. I'm not sure. So for now, I'm just marking it there. But that's all you're going to do for switches. You want it to be within range. I have found you always want, so you've got this jack, you've got this king stud, and you're going to want to at least have one more 2x4 scabbed onto here. It can be just a short block that's just, like say, from here to here, to make sure you're at least 3 2x4s away from this edge when you put on your box. If not, you're definitely going to have to be cutting around it for trim. So that's a pretty good rule of thumb that I use with switch boxes and distance that you want to be away so your trim doesn't interfere with it. But yeah, now I'm just going to lay out the rest of the rooms and then we'll start putting boxes on and running wire.